Scott and I just report whatever you do because you're in charge, Bill.
That's right. We're just the peanut gallery.
Yeah, don't blame us.
Yeah. Okay, and welcome to two old guys and a middle-aged guy talk about guitars and gear and stuff, and the Reverend is being yelled at by everybody else because he did his push record. So how we all doing?
What do I have to complain about? Nothing.
Guys, I actually have nothing to complain about either because, yesterday morning I got up at like 5 a.m. and went out into 20-degree weather to scrape ice off of my car. And then by lunchtime, I was walking in 70-degree weather here in Southern California, and it was beautiful.
You're in SoCal, huh?
I am.
So work took you away from the snow and ice.
I am trying to figure out why I don't live here.
Because it's California.
It's true.
I mean, well, I'll get hate from people, but me and Scott both lived there for a long time. You don't want to be there.
We made the exodus.
That's right.
Look, I intentionally built a fairly large home about 5-6 years ago to give me space from all of my children in the house. And it's not enough space because I can still always hear them. And then I look at what I could afford in California, and we'd have to pack bunk beds
apartment.
And I'm good. I'll just fly out here for work. Do you guys want to hear my cool story though from California?
Okay, tell me your cool story.
You guys are going to like this story. It is relevant to what we talk about here.
Okay.
Yesterday at lunchtime, I went and grabbed lunch, and the place I went to only had Diet Pepsi, which is the worst diet soda because it's super gross. So then I had to go for a walk to find a better place because I didn't have a car. And I saw there was a 7-Eleven. So I walked to 7-Eleven, super healthy here, to get a Coke Zero because it's much better than a super gross Diet Pepsi. So I'm walking back to work, and we're actually in Costa Mesa. And we're like right across the street from this super fancy mall that has all the luxury brands that I don't even know because I'm not that fancy.
I know that mall. It's really nice.
It's really nice. Like I did go into it today and like walk down looking at like the Omega watches that cost more than my car and stuff like that. And I was like, man, this is cool. So as I'm going through the crosswalk, there is this Mercedes GT that's like going to make a right, and they're waiting for me to cross the crosswalk so we can make his right turn. So I look at the driver and we make eye contact, and I think, holy crap, that's Michael Anthony from Van Halen. And so then I look away, and then I have to do the double take. And when I do the double take, I could tell he was waiting for it because he like does like the rock on hands and just smiled at me. And then I was like, I knew it was him. And then he drove away, and then I texted everybody about it, and you guys Bill knows my brother-in-law Danny and my brother and stuff, and I was texting and my kids. I was like, yeah, I just saw Michael Anthony. That was kind of cool. And they were like, no, you didn't. So then I jumped on and searched what car he drives, and sure enough, he has two of different GTs, a 2010 and a 2025, and they are his everyday cars, not his like fancy cars like from his car collection. And then he also lives just down the street in Newport Beach, which is only a couple miles straight down the road that the mall's on. So anyway, that was my, I was like, that was probably the coolest part of my business trip. Because how often do you get like devil horns from a member of Van Halen? I mean, from about 3 feet away.
Never.
In a car at an intersection.
In a car. And I'm pretty sure his wife was in the passenger seat. But I was also like.
His wife or.
I mean. Who knows? I mean, but I was also like, I'm sure there was a time that he hated being recognized, but like he's old.
Point in time.
At this point, he probably just thinks it's kind of cool when somebody's like, "Oh, I know who that guy is." Anyway, he was probably buying those Omega watches I couldn't afford. Anyway,
my wife that's my story. Was staying in Costa Mesa, a little more than a week ago. God, I can't. The days are just like blurring together. So much has happened last month. But she was in a crappy motel that we got for her down there because she couldn't stand to stay in my mother's empty apartment for one more night where she couldn't make any noise because she wasn't allowed to be there. But yeah, she went down to help clear out my mom's apartment because I mean, you guys know, my mom died like what we think January 15th, about sometime like that. We found out on the 10th, I don't even know. I can't even remember. So, yeah, she, of course, left us a horrifying mess. No will, no plans, no nothing. I highly recommend. It's downstairs. I wish I had brought it up. And I'm not going to make this my gear thing, but they make this book you can buy. and it's got big friendly script letters on the front, and it says, "Fuck, I'm dead. Now what?" And you go through this book and you fill everything out, and you can't leave it for your kids so they know what the hell to do with everything. That was nothing, man. I mean, nothing.
And in addition, for like gear advice, Bill's here to give like last will and
All of
testament
it. I mean, hey, me and Scott
preparation.
were
I
talking
mean,
about Medicare coverage before you came on.
Oh my
there's
god.
something for everyone, guys. There's something for everyone in this podcast or
Absolutely.
whatever
We
it
have
is.
something for everybody. Okay, well, speaking of that, who's got
Get
gear?
old, ladies and gentlemen. Get old. I highly recommend
Yeah.
it.
Well, it's
So,
definitely better than the.
so I was talking to. We're going to get to gear. I was talking to this woman at work today, and this is going to make you guys feel old, but she told me that she was born in 1999, and I said, "Well, I feel old because," and she's out of college. You know, this is her. She's working for an ad agency out of college. And I said, "Well, I feel old. That's the year I graduated from high school." And she goes, "Yeah, that's the year my parents graduated too. My dad knocked my mom up at prom in 1998." And so I was like, I hope nobody from work listens to this. I'd probably get in trouble for telling that. But I was like, you just made me feel better about my life because my oldest son just turned 18 this last week. And I've been feeling old having an adult child, but at least it wasn't prom night 1998.
Senior
Anyway,
prom, 1979.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever told you this, but there's a really good friend of mine, a guy named Mike Krupka, and Mike was the drummer in the band that we all wanted to be when we were teenagers. You know, they were playing this Mormon dance circuit that we all went to, and the band was called Message. It was a family band. It was him and one sister and her boyfriend who's now her husband. They've been married for like 40 years. And another sister and a different boyfriend who she didn't marry. But anyway, when right after Aaron was born, I remember sitting down talking to Mike, and he was my insurance agent for years and years in California. And he said, "You've got it hard. I had it easy." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You have a girl. I have boys." And I went, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "With boys, you only have to worry about one dick. As long as they keep theirs under control, then you're fine. With a daughter, you have to worry about all the dicks."
I have to worry about four, actually. Four boys, but Scott, what gear do you have?
Well, hell, I don't really have any new gear. At least any of the gear that it didn't come yet. I ordered this Wi-Fi transmitter to use with the laptop for the Leonard Skinner band because we're broadcasting video along with the audio and la 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 la
Right.
la la. So I'm waiting to see if that's gonna actually work or if it's gonna be a huge waste of cash.
Okay, then.
I don't know
Well,
anyone
I
who's
have.
doing the same things. I can't even
Yeah, you
go
don't. You
in
don't have
there.
anybody who can go who can tell you this works. You're flailing around looking for something for a solution. Yeah, been there, done that. Got the T-shirt 1,000 times.
Yeah, the
I have a
only other
really big
solution
one.
is huge, thousands of
And
dollar.
very expensive, thousands of
Yeah,
dollars.
yeah, yeah. Anyway,
It's crazy. I have a huge one that I'm not really going to get into that much, but sitting right next to me here is the Line 6 Helix Stadium XL floor, which I've
As
had
soon as you
now
said a
for.
huge one, I knew exactly what it was. I was like, oh, he got
Yeah,
stadium.
right.
It's there.
And I've had it for about a month. I should really do a whole thing about it. Although people who are really into it, there's so many videos out there. It's been done and done and done. But I will say that the new modeling architecture, the Agura modeling architecture, is unbelievable. It doesn't just sound like an amp, it feels like an amp. It's got that kind of squishy, spongy thing that you get out of an amp. And I never thought we'd get that out of a digital controller ever, but it's there. And it's got a couple really cool things. This thing called focus mode, and I'll put some pictures in of this when we edit. But you go into focus mode and you see an actual picture of whatever the gear is, and then you've got a little like almost like a cursor that you can move around with your finger and change multiple parameters at the same time. So like it's got a really good 1965 Princeton in there. And so when you go to focus mode, it's like, because it's called Princess for the Princeton. And so it's got Princess and it's got Cruises, Diana, Jasmine, and Princess Peaches or something like that. And they're just different characters of sounds, and when you move it around, you can see the knobs moving, and it's like multiple things changing all at the same time. And it's really really cool. It's very expensive, $9. The only reason I got one is I had two of the original Helixes that I sold to pay for this. And I came really close. I was only a couple $100 short. And yeah, I've done a few rehearsals with it now. It's just really cool. And there was already been one big firmware update, and in the firmware update they added the amp that I always wished the Helix had. They added a Mesa Boogie Mark II C Plus, and which is like the holy grail, of those Mark series boogies, and it sounds
Are
unbelievable.
those little combo ones?
Well, little. I have a Mark II. My boogie is a
Didn't you used to have two?
I did. I had a Mark II and a Mark IV.
I remember you carrying those boat anchors.
My Lord, and they weigh 75 pounds each. So
I remember teasing you about that too.
you did, with good reason, by the way. But no, here's the little thing that I got. I mean, I don't know if you guys know. I think you do. I have Funko Pops on my pedal board. They're like lined up. It's mostly like superheroes. So I've expanded my definition of heroes, and I got that's an Eddie Munson Funko Pop from Stranger Things.
Maybe we should do an episode about our thoughts on Stranger Things, but probably not today.
All I have is I only have this.
That's kind of cool.
But if you make me mad,
I like it. Well, with that, no.
Cool.
So I wasn't actually going to talk about this, but you just got me thinking when you were talking about the feel of an amp. So this is not line 6. So I bought, just because I keep a guitar at work, like at my office, and I just decided to buy like a little headphone amp. So I bought one of the just $200 or whatever Boss Katana headphone amps, because
I had one of those too.
Because the Boss Katanas are cool, for what they are. They're really cool amps. And so I got the little headphone amp version, and they have a thing on it called Stage Fill. And it really is just, well, it's your effects in stereo through your headphones, but it also just adds this level of presence when you play.
Right.
And it really is just kind of like a reverb, but you can set where the amp is and how big you want the stage to be and some things like that. And I've used headphone amps for years and hated them. And when I plugged my headphones in and played that thing with the stage fill for the first time, it sounded like I was in a room playing with an amp.
Isn't it?
And I was like,
and that's
holy, and that's a little $200 thing. That was like, and this is, I've owned tons of modelers. I've done tons of things. And this is the first time I've ever listened to something like that with my headphones on. And I was going like, no, this sounds like the real thing.
Could you use it on a gig?
No, I use it at work. It's just like my headphone thing. But Bill, are you done, or do you want to talk more about Stadium?
Well, there's one thing I want to bring up, because it
plays
into what Scott does. And this is one of the big features they were pushing on it. It's called showcase mode. And so basically, it's so crazy to even think that you can do this. Take a song. So if you're a band that works with tracks like yours, and let's say you've got 8 stems, you can import all the stems into a song file, and they'll all line up, and then you can mix them from there. You can mute certain things. So if you're practicing and you don't want to hear the guitar parts, so you can play along with it, you can do that. But then if you're using those for a show, you can set these little flags, and the flags are MIDI events as it goes through. And so as the track is playing, if you're on the intro and you've got a certain guitar sound, you set it on this flag, it changes to this patch. And then it goes into the verse, you want a different patch. And when it hits the verse, it's going to change for you. And not only that, because they can send MIDI over USB, you can control every single thing on the stage. You can control everybody's presets. You can control, vocal processors. You can control even lighting cues, all off of this pedal board that the guitar player is carrying around.
Yeah, I'm way too nervous to do that.
Yeah, it's really scary, and I've only experimented with a little bit,
Scott
and we
doesn't want
don't
to be
use tracks,
responsible.
but it's
Hell
like,
no.
wow.
We need, for me, for my own sanity, I need a total separate unit that's
And I
not
totally get that
only,
because I'd be the same way.
and I only want one person to be able to control it and not.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
for me, I don't know, I fat foot, I don't know if that's that what you call it, and step on some button, and all of a sudden, some other track is playing, and
Like,
we're playing in front of it like four,
and,
five
and,
hundred
and
thousand,
right,
1,000
and
people, and all of a sudden,
that's going to happen. That
yeah,
somebody's going to do that. Somebody's going to have a horror story about I used this and my fat foot hit the wrong button
yeah.
and the
I could
entire
never have
show
that happen.
went to
No,
crap.
that couldn't
So I'm
happen.
done now. Oh, wait, no, one last thing. I bought another Funko, but it's over there and you can't see it. And I actually have named the guitar for the first time in my life. My Neil Smith guitar name is Beatrix now, and I have a Funko Pop of Beatrice Kiddo, aka the Bride, aka the Uma Thurman character from Kill Bill.
Well, I've never named a guitar, so you're ahead of me.
I
That's
never
cool.
have either, but I got a bunch of Kill Bill stickers put on the case, and I went, "This is Beatrix."
I was saying, yeah, this is Scott's guitar.
Okay, now it's Tim's turn.
All right, so I just got a little one today. It's not a guitar pedal.
Oh my God.
No, say it isn't
So,
so.
so I'm going to show you in front of the camera. It's this. And you're like, what the heck is he holding here?
I have no idea.
No idea. So, not guitar related at all. It is an electric bagpipe practice.
I knew you were going to say that.
Wait a second. That's a bagpipe thing. It's electric?
Yeah, yeah. So I can't play it on here because I don't have like the speaker and I don't have a microphone. I'm using my AirPods today. You just plug the powered on. You just plug headphones into it, and
My
then
Lord.
it doesn't do like the drones or anything. It really is just like the chanter, like a practice chanter.
Right.
But the reason, and this is like not, I mean, it was like $200 or something. Like normally, like a lot of electric ones are a lot more expensive. It's a pretty inexpensive one. But as you guys know, I travel a lot on a lot of business trips,
And so
and
now you can still
I've
practice.
I've taken my chanter before, and I've had people pound on my hotel room door because it's loud enough that if you're like not in a great hotel. And so this thing, like I literally like get done at the end of the day, pop up my iPad with some like sheet music, sit down on my hotel bed, and we'll just sit there and run through whatever I'm working on. And it's great for practicing, but the hard thing is you'll see like bagpipes you'd have holes that your fingers cover. This has little electrodes,
Yeah,
and they
right.
are
It's little
not
sensors.
they're not forgiving at all. Like
Ooh.
it shows you your mistakes. So a lot of people have them. They love them because like it really improves like the cleanness of how you play because little mistakes are big mistakes on it. But I've been having a blast because guys, I am officially a member of the Springville, Utah Art City Pipe Band. And
Wow.
I got
Woo-hoo.
elected to be a member of the board for the next 3 years on the band. So I'm like a real because it's like a non-profit because we do like community events and things like that, and I'm on the
Right.
board. And I've got a gig coming up on St. Patrick's Day where I'm gonna probably be in a kilt with a bunch of other people playing bagpipe tunes, and I'm so
And
freaking
you
excited
had
for it.
better bring video. We need video of this for sure.
I will bring you guys video, but anyway,
That is awesome.
no,
Well,
it's funny. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so the office here, a bunch of musicians, a lot of people play in worship bands here,
Oh, yeah.
and so we were talking. We always talk music when I'm in the office, and they found somebody told them I played bagpipes today, and then they were like, "Dude, do you have video of that?" And then they're like, "Could you play that with like our band?" And I was like, "Well, you guys would have to like tune really sharp because the bagpipes are out of tune of everything." Anyway, it was pretty fun. So that's all I got. I just got the little practice bagpipe thing, and it's fun too because like even at like work or whatever, it's kind of like I just leave it on my desk right there because if I have 10 minutes between a call, it's like a good thing to just like if you're trying to memorize stuff, just to like
Right.
run
No,
through.
that's great.
And I don't have to do anything. I like plug my headphones in, play for 3 minutes, put it back down, go to a call. It's been fun. So.
Well, yeah, before we get off the gear thing, and this is kind of serious for me, I mean, it's been life changing. The reason I'm not just using AirPods or something, I got headphones on, is because I have something else in my ears. The Reverend got hearing aids.
No way,
Cool.
really?
All of the loud music has finally had its effect on you.
It had a long, long time ago, and I've tried a million different things, and I used AirPods as hearing aids for a while, which they are actually FDA approved for that purpose, but they're not very good. The biggest problem is I couldn't use them in band rehearsals because when it got loud, it would just compress everything way down, and it would take 3 or 4 seconds for it to come back, and it wouldn't actually really come back until you stopped playing, and it made them useless. But I did my first rehearsal on them the other night, and it was like, wow, I can hear. So and just seriously, look, at our age and having been playing live music for a long, long time, there is not a musician or sound guy I know over the age of 45 whose hearing is not compromised to at least some degree. I spent years. It's funny. Like the last couple of weeks, I got them like 2 weeks ago. I keep asking my wife to turn down the TV, and I had to tell her today. I was like, "Look, we're gonna have to adjust to the fact that I can hear now because we're talking really loud." And she goes, "I've had to for years, and we're having to get down to a normal volume again." And really, it's just changed everything. So, if you are one of the old guys or even the middle-aged guy, because you're gonna be heading down that road, it's just the way it works. It's what do you call it? An occupational hazard with what we do. Don't wait, man. Don't wait.
Most rehearsals I've been doing lately, it's all in ears,
Right. And
no monitors. I mean, no amps.
yeah, and in ears helps, and we do everything direct. But it's like I, I'm the youngest guy in the band this time around by a lot. Okay, to 11 years.
Holy moly!
Yeah, and it's like, a lot of these guys just like, no, man, I don't want anything to do with in ears. And trying to run a mixed system, Scott's been there, done that. It's really hard to do. Some people on wedges and some people on ears. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And I tried to do a band where I was the only one on ears, and everybody in the band was really good about it because it just meant that if you wanted to talk to me, you had to talk into a vocal mic. But there was one guy, and I'm not going to say who it was, who just couldn't, because talking into a vocal mic meant, because we were standing right next to each other, meant that he wasn't looking at me when he talked, and he just couldn't handle that. It was like, so I would take them out all the time, and then of course I take them out, and every third word out of my mouth is what, you know. I didn't understand that, and so anyway, yeah, I use ears, and ears have helped. I mean, my hearing would be a lot more damaged if I hadn't gone to mostly in ears, probably 20-ish years ago. But the damage is done. Once the damage is done, it does not heal, man.
Yep.
So there you
It's
go.
part of the game,
Well,
brother Card. Part of the game.
I was gonna say I've been delaying getting glasses forever, and my
Mm.
wife is making fun of me because I'm always squinting at things now, and I have to have kids like read things for me. And the thing is, my insurance would just pay for it, and I still don't do it. So I don't know. First, we have to get me to actually like admit my blindness before my deafness.
I have readers all over the place. There are probably 20 pairs of readers on
Hello.
20 different services in the house.
Yeah, I had to have glasses. They were going to take my license. So,
Really?
when they threaten to take your license, you'll get some glasses.
Yep, absolutely. I get that. So,
Yep.
on that note, all this mortality stuff that we're talking about and getting old and everything, our topic today is death.
Dun dun dun.
So last Saturday, I was talking to Paul. I was talking to Scott, and when I lost my newspaper job, I started working at the pool every shift I could get. And so I'm working like 6 days a week. So I was there last Saturday for a rental event. And I went to pick up my phone to check, a message or something. And I scared the crap out of people because I looked, I turned on my phone, I looked down, I went, no, 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 no. And they're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I just went, "Oh God, I'm gonna look like an idiot because they're not even gonna know who I'm talking about." I went, "Bobby Weir died," and
Did
they
they
had
know?
no, not one of them knew. I had to kind of say, he was a founding member of the Grateful Dead, and la 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 la. And then I told them about going to see Dead and Company at the Sphere, and they thought that was really cool. But yeah, we're gonna look at some of the notable deaths in 2025, and we lost a lot of people this year, a lot, and really like legendary people. I mean, like I was pissed at some of the people who are left off of some of the lists I've seen. It's like NPR's list, of course, had all kinds of weird ass people that nobody's ever heard of that
Yep.
that are going to put on for whatever reason. And it left Rick Derringer off,
How can you leave Rick Derringer off?
I mean, how can you leave Rick Derringer off, right?
Right.
So anyway, I figured that what we ought to do is kind of go down this kind of 5 month and see who's on it and maybe talk about some of them a little bit. That sound good to you guys?
Works for me.
So I had I had this in chronological order on. There it is. Okay, so January of last year was a bad month for this kind of stuff. On January 1st, Wayne Osmond. On January 3rd, Brenton Wood. I mean, what a great singer. Boogum Boogum song.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, man. And just give me some kind of sign, girl.
Yeah, no
Love
doubt.
that stuff, man. Peter Yarrow, who was the last surviving member of Peter, Paul, and
Peter,
Mary,
Paul, and
still
Mary.
on now. Sam Moore, man, the soul man himself. I mean, there's been a succession of Daves over over the years. I got to see Sam with Bruce Springsteen at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame anniversary show. Like, God, like 15 years ago.
That was it. That was a few years ago.
Yeah, it was years. I mean, it was on HBO. You can buy DVDs
Right.
of that show now. And we're not even done yet.
Can you buy DVDs or would it be streaming? I have to stop before you keep going for two things. Now, number one, I just realized that I must be the name that's registered on the account because under Bill on the names it says Tim Hemingway.
I know. I just realized that too. Yeah, we're using your own
So
email address.
I totally got distracted by that, but I do have to. We went over him a little bit quick. I did have to give a shout out for Wayne Osmond
Yeah.
being the Utah guy. There's definitely been a lot of that people have talked about. They do a big 4th of July concert every year at BYU, the football stadium. They call Stadium of Fire. This year, I went with my wife, last year, I guess, to see Rascal Flatts. The only time I will go to country concerts is when she makes me go to Stadium of Fire with her. But they did a big tribute to Wayne because he's kind of the founder of it and started that big festival concert series like decades ago. Right. Which is probably the reason why Marie still sings the national anthem like every single time.
Because she can't get another gig because she's crazy.
Yes, she is. I mean, I guess I'd say, coming from Utah and the music scene there, I have to have a dozen different Osmond stories.
Absolutely.
Going all the way back to the 70s when my dad was a sound guy for them and actually had a job offer to write music for them, but he wanted to be his own artist. And so he tells me like all the time that was the biggest mistake he ever made. Because he's like, if I would have written a hit or two for the Osmonds, he's like, totally I would have been set. And he wanted to be his own musician. And he's like, I could have toured in their backup band and wrote music for him. He's like, I was an idiot. But anyway, my only final comment I had to make on the Osmond is I never met Wayne, but I did meet Alan a long time ago. And he was very nice, had a lot of great stories. And then it led into him trying to get me to join his MLM downline. And for about 6 months, I was getting texts and phone calls and emails from Alan because he wanted me to sell his essential oils in his downline. And I could use the Osmond family name. So I had to block Alan Osmond from my cell phone. But with that, rest in peace, Wayne.
I had, when I was on my mission, yes, everybody forgets that I was actually raised Mormon and I served the mission.
My fellow brother, Bill.
That's right. In Osorno, Chile. And one of my companions in a town called Temuco was a guy named Rob Honey. And Rob was a fabulously talented musician, bass player, and he ended up being like the guy in the Osmond Studio Complex. He's like the guy, all the way through the 80s and 90s and everything else.
I'm sure my dad knows him. My
I'm
dad
sure
knows
probably.
my dad worked there for years, so.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a big one. There's a couple others in January, but this is like the big one for me. Even to me, it's like almost bigger than even Sam Moore, but Garth Hudson, the last living member of the band. And
Is he the piano player?
yeah, I was a keyboard player. He played keyboards and saxophone. And people don't think of him as playing sax, but there's a great, I don't remember what song it was, in the last waltz, and he plays this like beautiful solo alto saxophone. He wasn't like some guy who was a keyboard player who played a little bit of saxophone. He was as good a sax player as he was a keyboard player, and he was a fabulous, absolutely virtuoso keyboard player. We had I'm trying to put this band together and to do all original material, and we're working on stuff, and we talked about trying to find that space where soul music and rock music and pop music and country music all kind of go like this. We're talking about, kind of searching for that space. And I realized after we had that conversation that somebody already did that, and it was the band, and I went back and I watched The Last Waltz last week. You can get it for free on Tubi. I know I downloaded the app and installed it and got an account just so I could watch it and not have to pay for it. But I highly recommend going back and watching that movie. It's like, holy mother of God, what an amazing band. Levon Helm, how he kept that band together as a drummer, I don't understand, because it's like, Rick Danko, the bass player, was all over the place, and somehow the groove was just perfect every single time, and he sang all those songs at the same time. It was just, the band is just like one of my faves. All righty then. So that's January.
Man, at
One
this rate,
down, 11 to
we'll be
go.
done next.
I know, right? I'm going to skip the people that I've never heard of. In February, Rick Buckler, the drummer for The Jam in the 80s. Jerry Butler, another soul pioneer. He was the lead singer of The Impressions before Curtis Mayfield became the lead singer of The Impressions. Also, Roberta Flack. And David Johansen, better known by many folks as Buster Poindexter.
So David Johansen was one that I pulled out of the list that I was pretty interested in. So I went through, before the Dexter or whatever his name was.
Buster Poindexter. Yeah.
Poindexter, there we go. Before that, he was New York Dolls.
Yes, he was, and a hugely, hugely influential.
Personality crisis.
Since there's a we went down the Mormon theme today. There was a documentary made back when I was in college when Arthur Killer Kane from the New York Dolls became a Mormon, and they did a whole documentary called New York Doll about his story and his drug and his rehab and hitting rock bottom and then finding religion, finding God. And so he did all of that, and then the New York Dolls had a reunion show and they brought him back in and played a couple of shows, and then he died shortly after that. So I was very much in the local sound. So I worked in a studio back then, and also working in the film scene because I did a lot of sound for film and things like that. So I was at the premieres and all kinds of things for New York Doll. So, I got really interested in them. So I went through a New York Dolls phase, bought all of their music, know all their stuff. So that was one where I looked at it and I was like, I haven't listened in years, but I totally went through a New York Dolls phase.
Yeah,
they had some
and
great,
hugely influential band, hugely.
Yeah, because they were somewhere between glam and punk, and
right
they
at that
really,
intersection.
And they influenced a lot of like the punk scene that came out of New York going into the 80s and things like that. Yeah, they had some killer stuff. So that was when I was like, oh dang, that's too bad.
Were you a New York Dolls guy, Scott?
Not per se. I didn't really acquire a taste for them until later on in life. When they were popular when I was a kid, I think I listened to other music. I wasn't really into the punk scene. And to me at the time when they first came out, they were more like kind of punkish, at least in my opinion.
They were punky. There's no doubt about it from the beginning. And I was never a punk guy either. And like you, I came to an appreciation of New York Dolls much later.
I did like the documentary though. It was really good, a good flick, and I have checked it out.
Okay.
Well, I love punk, guys. I think punk is awesome.
Do you really?
I like some. I just at that time I didn't appreciate it.
Look, I realized that punk is the most simple like music ever and the easiest genre and so repetitive. And I get all of the reason why a lot of musicians are like, punk. But man, there is nothing more fun than a punk show. They are just the best. I just love them. I love the energy. I love, and I should say like I'm much more of the probably like pop punk genre, not so much like the
pop
which
punk
almost
is just power pop with guy
which is power pop with guy liner and more distortion. Like I get it, but yes, I'm not like a hardcore punk fan, but I do love a lot of the 70s and 80s, like obviously Ramones and things like that going into it. I love a lot of the 90s underground, and then I love a lot of the pop punk. And I still go to, I mean, my favorite concert, and I don't know if they're still, I mean, they're pop punk. I don't know if you consider them now. They've kind of strayed, but I went to The Offspring last year with my kids, and it was everything I could ever want out of a punk show. It was so much. I mean, there was so much explicit language. I just told my kids, don't tell mom all the words you learned tonight. But it was just, I love punk shows, guys. I just love it. I listen to it a little bit, but I am more for the live thing than actually. I mean, over Christmas break, going back to punk, MXPX, they did a live like on YouTube, and I sat there with my kids and watched MXPX do a live show on YouTube. Yes, I love punk.
Yeah, well, good for you.
I love a lot
I was
of
too
other
nervous
genres.
to go by myself.
I came to an appreciation to some punk via power pop when I realized that, because I love power pop, and then I listened to things that people called pop punk, and it was like, oh, there's like that far apart,
And to Scott's credit, I am too afraid to go to like hardcore punk shows too. I would totally get like the crap beat out of me.
Yeah, I think I was just too scared.
The total pansy punk stuff where nobody's actually getting in a fight. That's what I go to. But anyway, sorry.
I will say though, I went to this show, I don't know, a few months ago, and the headliner was Power Man 5000. Not a punk band at all, but other kind of hardcore bands.
Right.
And the thing that I noticed about like punk shows and hardcore shows is the mosh pit thing. And there's like etiquette. I'm standing there, 100%. And I didn't really know that I was going to be in the mosh pit. I just figured I was standing on the floor, going to be able to watch the show. And pretty soon, I was in the mosh pit, and they knocked me down to the ground. I was freaking out. All of a sudden, everybody stopped. They picked me up, asked if I was okay, and then kept going. I was like, wow, this is amazing, man. So while it was like punk rock chaos, there was some kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, most of them
safety in it, I guess.
They don't really want anybody to get hurt. It's just like in the real hardcore stuff, no, it's like fights breaking out, people trying to kill each other. But
dude, these were hardcore, man. They were like smashing into people and all kinds of stuff. I was scared.
I've been in those kind of mosh pits. I don't anymore. I mean, I feel like I'm too old for them now, but yeah, 20 years ago, man,
too old,
I was all over that.
Well, when I was about your age, because I was in my mid 40s, accidentally found myself, just like Scott did, I accidentally found myself in the middle of a mosh pit at a Metallica show, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, those are scary, man. I don't know, for me as an old dude, they're scary.
Yeah, but it was the same deal with the etiquette thing. It's like there were guys in the pit who picked up right away that I didn't go there on purpose, and they very kindly created a little corridor where I could get out.
Yeah, it's amazing that like there's like some kind of, what do they call it, like decorum or something.
Yes, there really is. And then I turn around looking, and these guys are just literally like just beating the crap out of each other,
brutalizing each other, all in the name of fun.
I know, and it's like I have never understood it, but there you go.
I like to watch it. I just don't want to be involved.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, watching it is like wow, but yeah, I don't want to be in it at all.
My hip still hurts from getting knocked down.
I was going to make a joke about Scott being worried about breaking his hip because he's old and all of that,
But
but
I'm serious, and I don't
I've
think
only
about
had
it,
one
but
replaced, so.
I'm just looking at the time and I want to know who died in March.
Oh yeah, okay. Who died in March?
Back on track.
We're not going to talk much about March. It was a bad year for soul people. So Angie Stone, Roy Ayers, the vibraphonist,
yeah.
and then Dwayne Wiggins, who was one of the co-founders of Tony. But then we get into yeah, right. But then we get into April, and there was one big one, April 6th. Clem Burke, the drummer for Blondie, man. I came to a bigger appreciation of Clem in the last couple of years. It was this great side band, kind of one of those Plague era bands, that got put together that put out one album kind of thing called the Empty Hearts, and it's I can't remember the guy's name, the lead singer for the Romantics, um, and the bass player from the Chesterfield Kings, and Clem Burke and Elliot Easton from the Cars, and it's just like this insanely fantastic power pop band, and they did 2 albums really good, and it's like, well, that's done. Good friend of mine, Jim Rose, sound guy. He mixed monitors for them for a long time. I got to hang out at some shows, but he was just one of those. Again, the groove was both 5 miles wide and only an inch wide at the same time. And I don't know if that makes any sense. Even it probably does to Scott because he's a bass player, but there's just not many of those guys. And that brings us to May. The big one in May again was Rick Derringer. My God.
That was one of my idols, and I'm not even a guitar player, man.
Yeah, right? And people don't even realize the stuff he did. I mean, how many people know that Rick Derringer was the producer for most of the Weird Al Yankovic stuff? I mean,
I did not know that.
Real American.
I mean, he was the guy who, put all that stuff together. But then,
That's cool.
obviously, Hang On Sloopy and Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo and all that great stuff with Edgar Winter, man.
He wrote the Hulk Hogan theme song.
Did he really?
Yeah, I'm a Real American. Yeah.
Just a fabulous guitar player. And that brings us into summer, and summer's where it gets really terribly bad. So
I made us go so fast that I didn't even interrupt back in April, but I just wanted to throw out there that I did see Blondie live when they tried to get back together in the late 90s, and when Debbie Harry's hair was all gray with a bleach blonde streak in it.
Right.
I just felt like I needed to contribute that I saw that show.
I thought I saw them during those time periods. I thought they were still a fabulous band. I mean,
they sounded great. No, they did sound great. My brother Joel and I went to that. I think Real Big Fish was their opening act.
Great band. Love them.
Yeah. So it was a fun show. It was a great show. I actually went for Real Big Fish, but had a ton of fun with Blondie. But yeah, that was when they were trying to have that 90s, late 90s comeback, whatever it was. I think
right. Yeah. Yeah.
They had another hit on the radio or whatever. I can't remember.
I saw them anyway. After that, when they weren't trying to put out new music anymore. Yeah. It was just, the nostalgia thing. I saw them at an outdoor show at Mandalay Bay. They put that
nice
stage up out there out on the beach area, and I never understood why they do it, because somebody's going to get electrocuted because the beach comes right up to the stage and people are standing in the water, and I'm like, this is really a bad idea. I don't know who came up with this, but it must be somebody in marketing, because it's a terrible idea.
Marketing people are the worst. So what happened in the summer?
That says the marketing guy.
I am the marketing guy for one of the top ad agencies in the world, as a matter.
Absolutely.
And we're the worst. I just said it out loud.
Okay. And he makes way more money than any of us.
There's a reason why I went to the advertising world when I realized I was never going to be a rock star.
And you know what? You're smarter than the rest of us is what it comes down to. So June sucked. June 9th, Sly Stone.
Yeah.
Shocking that he made it that long, to be really honest.
I know. Holy cow, man. I just remember hearing stories of him doing crack, smoking crack in the hotel room with a whole bunch of crazy motherfuckers. Holy cow, man.
Yeah, and that was, 30 years ago, 35 years ago. So it's amazing that he made it this long. Then just 2 days later on June 11th, Brian Wilson.
I'm surprised he made it this long.
Yeah,
Because he was
that one is
messed up for a
shocking.
long time.
Yeah, for like what 70s, like late 70s through basically all the 80s. He was pretty much
he
just
was
like
really messed up for a long
Yeah,
time, and he got
no doubt.
to be like 300 and some odd pounds, and he was just never. I got to meet him a couple of times at a NAMM thing, and if you didn't know he was a genius, you would think he was like this absolute simpleton. You know, the way he talked and everything, it was just like you don't have any idea. But I went back afterwards, and I got really into finding a real version of Smile, the legendary Beach Boys album that
yeah.
never really appeared, that was supposed to have Good Vibrations on it, for God's sakes. And a bunch of songs from that appeared on other records. But Brian did a version of that. There's a thing called Brian Wilson Presents Smile, where his road band convinced him to go back. And he got back together with Van Dyke Parks, who was the lyricist, and they finished a bunch of stuff. And it is astounding. It's amazing. I mean, there's just no words for what he was doing.
You know, for a long time, I kind of avoided the Beach Boys because
And so
like
did I.
attitude, and I was like, the Beatles are a billion times better. And that, I mean, I still kind of feel that way, but the difference is you had John and Paul, who were both geniuses, and the Beach Boys had Brian.
Right.
I think if he would have had a second genius, because Mike Love was not a genius, he was lucky to ride the coattails of his cousin. I'm all team Brian Wilson here. No, but I think, you know, when I started to really get into like understanding music history and things like that, and realize that like, no, when you go look at like Revolver, which is my favorite Beatles album, that's a result of Pet Sounds. That's Paul McCartney going,
1000%.
yeah, it's him going, crap, look at what Brian Wilson's doing. And like at the time, they looked at each other as their biggest competition in the music industry. And
they did.
I think that was what changed my mind about them. And then so this was actually like probably about the time I met you, Bill, like, and when I started doing stuff for Live to Play, that was when I really went down the deep dive, and I found the Brian Wilson Presents Smile, and ended up buying a ton of like B-sides and like just early stuff that was like never quite made it to Smile, or some of the demos and things like that. Cause you know, there is, I mean, very much like kind of like I use the Beatles as my example, like the early Beach Boy stuff, like it's fun and it's pop and whatever.
But those
When they
vocal
get to
harmonies,
the vocal harmonies
all
are
the
fantastic.
time.
But once they get into like more established, and they do the things like, and everybody's going to be like, yeah, everybody talks about Pet Sounds being amazing, but if you really look at it and you think about the recording technology that was available and whatnot,
Unreal.
and you realize the stuff that they did to make that album, and then the bits and like Good Vibrations and the bits and pieces we got on Smiley Smile, I think they did
Surf's
like,
Up.
like, yeah, but anyway, you get into it and you start to realize that like, oh no, this guy was a freaking musical genius. It's too bad that he went insane for decades. Yeah, I actually. Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't know if the way he was a result of the drugs or what, because there were a lot of drugs for a long time. But God.
So I was
be able
just
to crawl inside his head for 5 minutes.
One of my big regrets, concert regrets, going back to Alan Osmond and his Stadium of Fire, is back when Brian Wilson was touring with the Beach Boys again. They headlined there. I didn't jump on tickets quick enough. They sold out, and then people were scalping them, and I just was like, I don't want to pay that much. And I think that was, you know, that was probably at least 10 years ago, maybe more.
Yeah, something like
and I
that.
think that was like the only time that he's toured with them, because I just figured he'd come back around. I was like, oh, if he's back with the band. And they did like a series of summer shows, and then they were done. And I'm like, man, if I wish I could have seen them together, because I'm fine seeing the other guys, you know, whatever, they're great. But Brian Wilson, he is the Beach Boys to me.
Yeah.
So
I have had a deep love, and Scott knows this. He's been in bands with me before where I'd bring in songs and go, let's do this. And Scott goes, look at the video and watch. There are 6 people who step up to vocal mics all at the same time. And we've got 2 people in this band who sing. And I just, I just have this absolute love of vocal harmony. And I know that early exposure to the beach because I came up playing Mormon dances and you had to have a Beach Boys medley. It was like a requirement. So we, had a little thing with Help Me Rhonda and I Get Around and some of that stuff, but it's like, oh my God, the vocal harmonies.
yeah, I mean, definitely one of the biggest, like most influential people I think ever in music. Ever. Yeah. I mean, anyway.
Mott the Hoople.
I
It's
saw him
McRalph.
without McRalph's, and it was not the same. I mean,
Dude,
and the new
that-
guy was
dude,
good. He was good. He's in Deep Purple now. Dave something they call him Bucket, and he replaced Neil Morse in Deep Purple. He's obviously a real player, but McRalph's just had this vibe thing happening, man. This kind of British blues guy, just a little bit behind the beat all the time. And
I
with
love all that Mott the Hoople
oh,
stuff,
I
man. That's
love
one of my
all of that
favorite
stuff,
bands.
man.
Love that band.
All the way to Memphis and
Yeah,
all of that stuff. And then Bobby Sherman the following day, and I
man.
will
Julie,
admit,
Julie, Julie.
that's right, man.
It's still on my phone. I listen to that song religiously. I swear I do.
I actually owned a Bobby Sherman record or two when I was
Yeah, I had
a
one when I
younger
was a kid.
guy.
For sure, man.
So we heard about what mine and Bill's religion is, and now we've heard about Scott's religion because he listens to it religiously. See, there you go. All right.
Okay, so that brings us into July. July, we had 2 giants on the same freaking day. The one who has been completely overshadowed was Chuck Mangione. Just uh, as far as bringing instrumental music into the pop world again with Feels So Good and everything, it
Yeah,
was there's had just an enormous influence. I got to see him once at the old country club in Reseda, and
remember that place well.
yeah, man, and it was an astounding thing. That's the first place I saw Bobby Weir too, with Bobby and the Midnights. And so on the same day, the person who very obviously overshadowed him hugely was the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne, went down just days after that huge concert. The kind of tribute to Black Sabbath thing.
Another one, how
There
long?
was, well, yes, how did he last so long? But also, there was no better way for him to go out. He
Are
did the
you kidding?
show,
It,
he did
it
what
was
he wanted to
awesome.
do, and then he was gone. I'm
Yep.
like, that guy, like, you could not have planned a rock star death better than Ozzy. It's like he held on to just be like, I'm gonna do one last show, it's gonna be amazing, and then I'm out. Mic drop, I'm done.
And does it feel almost planned? It's like, did Sharon have something to do with this? I don't
She
know
just
if you
held the
guys
pillow
saw
over him
it.
until he stopped wiggling. No, just kidding.
Right? I mean, did you guys see any of the show?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, it was amazing. I mean, it was Black Sabbath, man. It was all the original members. It was, and they were. How do you forget what a great band that
And I
was?
mean, he's sitting there in his throne, like
Yep.
crumpled over, and you're like, not even sure if he's coherent. And then when he opens his mouth, you're like, holy crap, he's Ozzy, and he sounds just like Ozzy. Like he
Ozzy, and
sounded great.
and he outsang a lot of much younger guys who, I'm sorry, should have given it up a while ago. Axl Rose.
Steven Tyler. No.
Yeah, I mean, they both sound horrible. But yeah, you're right. He opened his mouth and was like, "Oh my God, that's Ozzy," and
Like
he still sounds like Ozzy.
he was all in. He didn't hold anything back. I do have to say, just being at Black Sabbath, this has nothing to do with anything, but I think the very first rock star that I saw at NAMM, where I was like, "Holy crap," was Geezer Butler. He was, I think, at EMG, and I was just like, "What? He's just sitting right there at a table? That's amazing!" But anyway, but yes, Ozzy sounded amazing. It was awesome to see them all back together doing one killer show.
Yeah, and it's like the drummer, Bill Ward, hadn't played in years because he's got COPD so bad that he like literally can't. And he came in and he played that set. I mean, it was only like what, a 4 or 5 song set. It was really short, but he put his life on the line to do that show because he's like, the doctor told him years ago, yeah, you can't play drums anymore.
Yeah,
So in August, they're saying Eddie Palmieri, they call him a Latin jazz pianist. I believe he was also one of the Palmieri brothers from the Rascals, was he not?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you would know that, being an East Coast guy. In September, my favorite guy from this band, Rick Davies, the co-founder and second lead singer voice for Supertramp. He had the not impossibly high voice.
He was just as important, though, man.
God, yeah, man. And honestly, my favorite Supertramp songs are all Rick Davies songs. All of them. You know, even in the quietest moments. I mean, what a freaking great piece of music. And
I just love
oh
that
yeah,
band. I like all
so
their
do
shit.
I.
I like all their stuff.
Yeah. You a Supertramp guy, Tim?
clearly not as much as you guys. Like I know the hits, but I've never really dove into their music, which sounds like I probably should.
Yeah, you probably should. You're gonna go, oh crap, what did I miss?
I do that a lot, to be honest with you.
God, so do I.
I
Absolutely,
have.
man.
I mean, that was the whole going back to like the Beach Boys thing or whatever, or the New York Dolls or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm listening to these people 20, 30 years too late. And when I listen to them, I'm like, oh man, I mean, this is stupid, but, and this is unrelated to all of this, but I love going to the used CD store. I love buying vinyl and I love just buying random CDs, but CDs are like $2, $3 each. And so I keep them in my car because I have a CD player. And I walked in the other day and they had George Harrison's Cloud Nine for $2. And I was like, okay,
That's
that's
a
going to be
great
the sound.
record.
I was like, that's going to be the soundtrack of my car. Because what I do is I just leave it in my car for like a month and then I'll swap it out and get something else. And I was sitting there going, I'm a huge Beatles fan. I know so much. How have I never to listen to this album? This is amazing. And I've
Yeah.
been making my kids listen to the song. This song is freaking awesome. Yes, I'm kicking myself regularly of all the good music that I should just know in and out, and then I just for whatever reason have
I
never.
did the same thing. It's like,
Yeah.
and I'll do that same thing. I'll get into somebody and I'll go, oh, I'm going to listen to everything they ever put out, and it's like, and then you find yourself down these rabbit holes and everything. But
Oh, I love picking a band and just starting at the beginning and going through the whole
and going
discography
to
and
the end.
being like,
I
so much
I
fun.
did that with Frank Zappa. It took me months.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I'm guessing it was super weird.
It
And
was
I'm guessing
beyond
like
weird.
you would
It twisted my
wake up in
brain.
your dreams and they were like terrifying you.
No, yeah,
Like,
it was, but it was also like, oh my God, another, to me, Frank Zappa is at the level of a Brian Wilson.
oh,
He was
brilliant,
just
but crazy, but
absolutely
brilliant.
brilliant, completely crazy, out of his
I was
mind.
going to say if there's a portal to the upside down, I'm sure it's in a Frank Zappa song somewhere. Instead of pulling you out, it pushes you in there.
Yes, right. Which brings us to October. There were 3 biggies in October. John Lodge, again, the voice that
Moody
people
Blues.
don't remember in the Moody Blues.
Which is one for me I had to throw out there. So I always talk about how I grew up in the family that never listened to rock music. All we listened to was like Peter, Paul, and Mary, and Simon and
Right.
Garfunkel, and whatever. And I say the Beatles were the first rock music I ever heard. That's not true because my dad is a diehard Moody Blues fan, and so our whole music collection was like all this like very like folk, John Denver, a lot of classical guitar, Jim Croce, things like that in there. And then Moody Blues, like the entire collection. My dad like loves them more than anything. So that was one where I did grow up
I
with them
still
and
remember.
it's like the center.
If I think about it, for a second I can place myself where I was the first time I heard Days of Future Past. Um, uh, and the full version of Nights in White Satin with that spoken word stuff in the beginning, it blew me away, and I must have been 13 or 14 years old. I mean, just getting into playing guitar and everything and going, what the hell is that?
Being confused, but also being like, that is awesome.
It's amazing, but I'm
You're
also
like
confused.
blown
Yes,
away and
with it.
confused. Like that's, I think there's so much brilliance to music like that where you love it, but you're also like, like it's an experience. It's not
Yeah,
just a good song, it's an experience. And you're just
yeah,
like,
absolutely is.
what did I just listen to? That's so cool. Love it.
Absolutely. And John Lodge was like, he reminds me in some ways of like Peter Cetera in that early Chicago stuff, who's singing all these impossible things while he's playing these bass lines that, I mean, Sky, you're a bass player, it's like a Peter Cetera line you got to think about. And he's like playing the line and singing and chewing gum all at the same time.
This is me on my bass player soapbox for 2 seconds. Everyone thinks playing bass is for idiots. Play bass and sing. That is the hardest thing in any band to do.
It's really
Fight
hard.
me.
You're right.
Fight me about it.
Well,
It to play
it's,
bass. Just try and sing Roxanne and play bass
I know.
at
Oh,
the
think
same
about
time.
that. Yep.
Or any reggae song. Play any reggae song and sing at the same time.
And those John Lodge lines are like, and he's
Just a
singing
singer in a rock and roll
roll
band.
band. That's what I was thinking of.
Holy cow, man! Come on.
I was just going to say vocalists that are bassists and vocalists that are drummers are the two that blow my mind because guitarists are vocalists all the time, but they're generally just playing chords and playing rhythm. They're not playing the lead stuff. They're not usually playing, some of them are, but most of them are not
Yeah,
playing the
but even
complex
when they do,
stuff.
they're doing that
They're just
between vocal lines.
yeah, exactly. But they're doing, and then you get the bass, and it's not just a couple of chords. If it's a good bass line, it's all because I've had the same thought as like you go watch. I sorry I keep bringing the Beatles up. Like you guys know or like my love is, but you go watch like the Get Back sessions, and you watch Paul playing, and you're like. Okay, what he's playing is far more complex than what John is doing right now, or what
And
George is
sing
doing
it.
right now, and he's singing the lead vocals like it
How does
is
he do that?
I don't know how he does it. Like legitimately, especially like in their later stuff, like he's got some amazing bass lines.
It's
And I'm just like,
amazing. It's amazing to me.
how is he doing that? Like it is a skill beyond me. I'm great at singing and playing rhythm chords. I can't go much beyond that.
Yeah, most, and you're right. Most of us who sing and play are playing rhythm guitar.
It's very rare that you have somebody who's playing the lead parts and singing.
Yeah. So just a few days after John Lodge, we had D'Angelo. I don't know if you guys were big fans. I mean, but somebody that whole neo
R&B
soul.
singer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, his big album was called Voodoo, and the song Brown Sugar. I mean, he was a great singer, and he kind of disappeared because when he did the Voodoo album, I want to say it was like his cousin or something who made the video talked him into taking his shirt off, and he became like a sex symbol, and he hated it, and was really uncomfortable with it.
That dude was totally swole. If I was looked like him, I'd run around with no shit. I'd run around naked.
Well, he did in the video, and he didn't like what it did to his. He had women who just screaming at him take off his shirt from the moment the first song started. And then 2 days after D'Angelo, we talked about this a little bit. When we all fell down and went boom ourselves. Ace Frehley,
Yeah,
from Kiss,
Ace,
who was a
Space Ace,
big.
man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about
Yeah.
you guys, but he was a big influence on me, man. I saw Kiss for the first time when I was 17 years old,
Yeah, I
and
loved Kiss when I was a kid.
holy, yeah,
See,
man, who didn't?
I'm another one where I got into Kiss later. And the reason why is I grew up in the family where my mom was like, they're devil music. Their name stands for either knights in Satan's service or kings in Satan's service, and I don't want that devil music. So of course I grew up that way, always hearing that Kiss was like devil music. And So anyway, once again, 90s child here, huge Weezer fan. And on their first
Love
album,
Weezer.
song In the Garage, he says, I've got Ace Frehley, I've got Peter Criss waiting right there for me. Yes, I do. And that was like, or it's like from my favorite rock group, Kiss. And then he puts that line in there. And so before I even knew Kiss music, I knew the names of Ace Frehley and Peter Criss because those are the two that Rivers references. And so when I finally got over listening to my mom, I was like, I'm going to check these guys out. Instantly, I was like, Ace was the name I knew from day one. And then I was like, wait, he's a dude with the Les Paul Custom, like shooting fire out of like the middle pickup. Yes, Ace has hands down from the minute I actually stopped listening to Mom and started listening to Kiss, I was like, this guy knows what it means to be a rock star. He's amazing.
man.
Like he is. And if you listen to, I love a lot of podcasts I love that are much more polished and professional than this, but there's some great interviews.
By the way.
So we don't even know if this is a podcast. We don't even know what it is. It's just us talking about stuff.
Yeah,
and
right.
If you listen, like, I don't know why. What's wrong with you? But Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins does a great podcast called The Magnificent Others. And he interviewed both Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. And I can't remember which one of them it is, but they talk about Ace like auditioning for the band. And they were like, he was just this weird dude who came in and we're thinking like, yeah, there's no way this guy is the guy. And they're like, and then he started playing and they were like, that guy's the guy.
That's the guy.
And every interview, you could totally see it. He's out there. He's just an odd guy, but man, when he gets on stage, like he is just
there was just
amazing.
Something about it, man. I saw him on the Destroyer tour and when I was 17 at Anaheim Stadium, and it was just like holy wow. Your mind is blown as a teenager.
Right after he passed away, back to my used CD when I get bored at lunch, I bought Destroyer for $3.
What a great
I mean, I've listened to everything on Spotify a million times, but it was like $3 in the rack, and I was like, Ace just died. So that actually was the soundtrack of my car for about a month.
So what's your favorite Kiss album?
Yeah. People always point to the Kiss Alive, which wasn't really alive. They did so many overdubs on that.
But it's cool.
But it's a great record. I mean,
Alive 2 are great.
Well, my first band so we played these Mormon dances, and there was one guy, this guy named something Whitley. Dan Whitley, and he had this company called Band Aid, and it was an agency, and he basically 90% of what he did was book all of the Mormon dances in Southern California, and that was a humongous circuit at that point in time. There were probably between 30 and 50 dances spread out through the greater LA area on any given Saturday night. It was a huge thing. So he had these twice a year. He had these showcases, and he had this little weird office in Studio City, and the back room it would like had a little stage and a bunch of seats and everything, and you'd go in there and you would do like a 5 or 6 minute the same way we've always done, promo videos and everything. You do short little versions of songs, but you would do the whole thing live. And they would, we went in there and we probably booked, I don't know, 17 or 18 dates, just from that one thing. But, we didn't. And just to prove that I've always been weird, and Scott knows how weird I can be musically and how I try and mishmash things together. But here at 16, 17 years old, we started with the a little instrumental of From the Beginning by Emerson, Lake and Palmer, that really mellow thing. And we did that for like 30 seconds and stopped, and the bass player went the mic and went, and now for something completely different. And we went into Strutter.
That's
always loved that song.
Yeah, well, I would say after Ace died, I pulled my Les Paul off the wall, which I don't play it a ton. I actually play Telecasters mostly these days because I don't know. But I got the Les Paul off the wall, and I sat there and learned Kiss riffs for weeks. I don't remember the last time I was that into just learning Kiss riffs, but I was just like, man, he's just great.
There's so much cool stuff. It was like he had this, like, I don't even know how to call it. It's like this whittly thing. It's like he did this, like he did these like trill things and everything that I have never heard anybody else do the same way. You know what I mean? It's like there was just something about the way he approached it. He wasn't like some like astounding technician or something like that. He just played the right thing for the song like every time.
His style was just cool, and it just worked with the band.
For
It
that
just
band.
worked.
Yeah.
Yep.
November, Jimmy Cliff for our reggae fans. And then December, we had a couple biggies, both guitar players. On December 3rd, Steve Cropper. Man,
He
Booker
lasted a
T and
long
the
time.
MG. He did, man. He was in his 80s. I mean, I've been fronting soul bands now since 1984. So we did a lot of material that had Steve's fingerprints on it.
That dude was everywhere, man.
Absolutely was, man. He was on all the Sam and Dave material. He was on all of the Otis Redding material, plus the Booker T and the MG stuff and everything. Just one of the great and most influential guitar players ever, and the guy who played Telly's all the time. And then a couple days later,
I was going to say, real quick for the record, when Bill was starting his soul bands, I was alive. I was probably being potty trained while listening to the Moody Blues. Okay, sorry, keep going.
First soul band, 1984, Reverend Bill and the Soul Believers. Then anyway,
And I was potty training.
Raul Malo, the front man for the Mavericks.
Man, love that band.
Yeah, what a great band. Just and there's another one who, are they a country band? Are they a rock band? They're so amazingly soulful at the same time. It's like, I think of them and bands like Los Lobos in the same breath, as far as the way they mix and match genres. And you can't really say what kind of band were the Mavericks. Can you?
Well, and I love it. I love it when bands are like that, though, because if you were to ask me, I would be like, yeah, I'm not really a huge soul fan. I'm not really a country fan. But then if you go listen to the music I have out there, you'll see that there are actually a lot of artists in there that blend the lines between different genres.
They blur the lines between
and
genres.
it's funny. I find myself like a lot of the genres that I'm like not really a huge fan of. If you go look stuff I look at, it's like, yeah, if it's like pure something, a genre, I usually am like, it's not my thing. But when they start to blend, like blur the lines between them and cross genres, I love that, because it, at some point, I mean, if they all try to stick to the same genre, it gets kind of boring.
Yep.
And there's so much you can do creatively when you start to
and here's the thing, and I respect somebody like Raul a lot, because that kind of thing that you're talking about was kind of much more common years ago. Blending genres and doing stuff that it was not like, everything is so formatted now, and it's like, you've got to, and that may be changing with streaming a little bit, but the Mavericks were that kind of band when it wasn't cool or easy to be that kind of band anymore. You know what I mean? And with that, so I have one
honorable mention. Anybody got any honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions? You know what? That's a pretty comprehensive list. Who'd we miss?
I got one. It's a really important dude for me. It's this guy named Tommy Price. He's a drummer.
I know who that was.
He used to play with Scandal. He used to play with Joan Jett. He used to play with Billy Idol. And for me, that dude was an amazing drummer. I wanted to play with that guy, and I would play with him for free.
Absolutely. I know what you mean, and God, I loved Scandal. What a great band that was, man.
Underrated band. Underrated band.
Underrated. And something we can talk about later, because they were very much almost the poster child for what the record industry tends to do, because that band was Scandal, and then by the next record they were Scandal featuring Patti Smythe, and then they were Patti Smythe and Scandal.
No doubt.
It was like, fuck you, and it was just Patti Smythe,
That's it.
and that's what the record industry does, so this is
I love that drummer. He was great.
Oh yeah, huge. So there you go. I think we're done.
So who's going to die in 2026? Any predictions? Just kidding.
Keith Richards.
He's going to live forever.
No, Keith Richards.
He's gonna outlive all of us.
I will tell you guys right now, I went and picked up tickets for Ringo Starr and his All Star Band because they're coming to Utah. Because I've never actually seen Ringo live, and I'm like, I just want to see him live because he's Ringo. I don't even know that I care about the music, but I'm like, he can't live that much longer. He just can't. So I have to go see him while he's still walking the earth and drumming a few songs.
And that reminds me, and this will be our final statement as we go out. You know, there are bands that are on our bucket lists now, and they will always be on our bucket list because people are dead.
Yep.
For me, Rush was a big one. Now they're going to go out and tour again, but they're not coming to Vegas. So, and the tickets are brutally expensive.
They're stupid expensive.
Like a couple $1,000 expensive. But the other one is, you know, Tim talked about the are you a Beatles fan or are you a Stones fan? Or he said Beatles and Beach Boys. Is it Beatles or Beach Boys? And it's like, you know, people I knew was always like Beatles or Stones. And the correct answer to that is always
The Beatles.
The Who. So okay, gentlemen. And on that
always,
note,
always The Who.
Always.
Always
And
The Who.
The correct answer is The Who every single time.
I'm going to remember that one.
And there we go. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It has been fun. I got to go to bed because I got to be up at like 5 o'clock in the morning
It's
again.
past Bill's bedtime, and I've got to go finish emails for work. So
I have to teach a water aerobics class tomorrow at 8 a.m. So
I was hoping you were to say swimming lessons because I could just imagine Bill teaching a bunch of 5-year-olds like to blow bubbles.
Know, we've had discussions about this, how I am probably not the guy to do the 5-year-olds.
They learn a whole new vocabulary. All right. Good night.
Okay. We'll see you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Hey.